right, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Powerful Women in Business event. My name is Brittany Ame. I live in Southern California, although I am in Vegas right now with you all because this event is so awesome. But I do live in Southern California. I'm a wife and mom of two little ones. And I'm also a volleyball coach and small business owner. I help people grow their own food and just improve their overall nutrition. We really appreciate you guys taking time to be here with us tonight. And we hope that you leave this call really feeling motivated to take action in your life towards your dreams. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Ade Takumba Falati. Take it away.
Hello. Glad to have you here. So I am Ade Takumba Falati, like she just said, and I live in California. I'm a Texas native, actually. And I'm a volleyball coach, a trainer, and a social worker. And so I also help women, men, children, families get healthy through our Tower Gardens and plant powders. And it's as simple as that, helping folks get healthy. So you came here to hear from our beautiful panelists. So I want to make sure you guys know who they are right away. Robin Allen is from California, mom of a teenager, nutritionist, and entrepreneur. We have Vanessa L. Bryant from Utah, living in New York City, author, self-love advocate as well. And last but not least, we have Jade Warshaw, living in Florida, not California, married, mom of three, entrepreneur, and entertainment entrepreneur. Right. So these three women are going to be incredible, and I hope that you guys have your notepads ready to go because gems are going to be dropped. Okay, so first things first, we're going to get right into it. First question is for Robin. Talk to us about your journey getting into becoming a business owner.
Okay, so it started with my parents. My parents were entrepreneurs, so I grew up in that space. But actually during college, I got fired. And I remember getting fired and walking off the premises thinking, oh my goodness, like someone could just take my income whenever they felt like it. So that inspired me to really start to look more into entrepreneurship. And the rest of college, I kind of hustled and made it work. And I sold Avon and I did all these things, but it was free. I didn't have a boss. So that was my first touch into it. You know, I'm laughing because I set my clock so that I wouldn't go too long. And I set it for 12 minutes, not 2 minutes.
Oh no.
No, I know. And so then my last point is that I did get a job after college and I worked for a corporation for 7 years. And then I just said, I'm going to go out on my own. So in my late 20s, I left my good job with insurance and started my business. And I've not looked back. So it's been, I'm almost 47. So almost 20 years. Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's what I was going to say. Wow. Yeah. I haven't worked for someone for 20 years.
Wow. That's the way to go right there. I love that. Vanessa, what about you? Your journey to becoming a business owner?
Absolutely. That's an amazing story. Mine was very different actually in that my background is actually in nursing. So I had started a career as a registered nurse. I worked my way to my MBA and envisioned myself becoming a chief nursing officer and getting more into administration. But then I had my first child. I went back to work for a while and my husband travels a lot. The work-life balance was totally off. Dealt a lot with just anxiety, postpartum depression. And I came to my husband and was just like, you know what, something's got to shift. I want to focus on family for now. And decided to become a stay-at-home mom, not realizing that there would then come this feeling of loss of purpose. And so in that process, I started to write, and that's where I formulated my first book. Not intending for it to become a book, is really just using it as a journaling process at first, but then realizing over time that more women needed to hear these stories and feel like there was spaces to be vulnerable and to share these experiences and to share these real emotions so that they could go through it and grow through it. And so I found myself as a self-published author, now doing more speaking engagements, speaking on self-love, advocacy for women, self-empowerment. And it's been a beautiful journey. Again, something I never thought I would be doing, but it's most definitely fulfilling. And I'm glad I freed myself of the box of being in tradition and exploring my purpose outside of that.
Yes. Yes. Jade, what about you? What is your journey to becoming an entrepreneur, businesswoman?
You know, I think a lot of it started when I met my husband because he was very entrepreneurial minded and he kind of already was in this mindset of, I don't plan on like working a 9 to 5. I don't plan on working for somebody. And he was very resourceful. And I think that that sort of mentality is very contagious if you allow it to be. And so, you know, we graduated from school with music degrees, and unless you're really going to go be a teacher or a band leader or something like that, you really do have to kind of forge your own path. And so that's what we did. You know, we started out, I did my first job in music was for Royal Caribbean, and I was a vocalist for them in their cast productions and that sort of thing. But, you know, we did know that eventually we were going to want to start a family. And when you work on cruise ships, like you live like on the cruise ship, so it's not really great for starting a family. So we knew early on that if we really wanted to do music long term, we were going to have to create a business for ourselves and find a way to like duplicate ourselves. And so that's kind of how we got the idea to start a talent agency. And it also kind of came out of a need, because when we were on board, we performed for a number of years as headliners, and it was hard to find the caliber of musicians that we wanted to play with. And so we were like, you know what, we need to, instead of complaining about it, like, let's make an agency and make sure that we're resourcing, you know, these cruise lines with the best possible entertainment. So just really taking what could have been a problem and turning it into a business and solving a problem. So that's kind of how we started.
That's so cool. That's really cool. Robin, talk to us about what your initial vision or goal was when you started the business and how that's shifted or changed for you now.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this clock on. So my company, Necessary Nutrition, when I started it, things go through so many metamorphoses, but when I started the company, what I quickly realized is that the way that it was set up, it was more service. And once I did the service, the customers had no reason to come back. So we started producing protein powder. So we have our own line of protein powders, and we had at the time vitamins and a whole product line. So we grew, and my intention initially was to grow, have franchises, have distribution all over the place. And I reached some goals that I was looking for. So I was grinding. I was just really focused and got to the height and reached the income level and had employees in warehouse. And then my daughter said to me, "Mommy, why aren't you at the birthday parties with me? Why are all the other moms there?" And that's when I realized that, okay, wait, I don't want to do this like this. I have everything monetarily. My life looks so fancy. My cars are fancy, all of that. But my daughter's like, "Why weren't you at the birthday party with me?" So I shifted because I was, you know, the boss babe, but my daughter, I wasn't hanging out with her. So a mentor of mine said, you know, you only get to be mom once, basically, because I only have one daughter. So I shifted and I got rid of my employees and the warehouse and all of that, and downsized and found a different way to continue the vision. And hopefully I'll get into that, but that's it was a very successful company, and put it on pause so that I could be with my mom, with my baby.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of that. Vanessa, how about you? What did your initial vision look like? How have things shifted for you?
Absolutely. I get to hear more. I'm like, I want to ask so many questions. But for me, I will say that it's continuing to evolve. I think that entrepreneurship, and what I'm learning, is that it's a continual evolution, both in what your business starts at and also as you grow to learn yourself as an entrepreneur. So for me, I didn't have a background in writing. So that in and of itself was an evolution for me. My goal was to be self-published so that I could not accept a no from any publishing company right at front, and that could potentially prevent me from getting my message out. My goal at first was just to get it out into the world and to prove to myself that I could do it, but also for my book to land into the hands that it needed to reach. I was not concerned about the financial gain, where a lot of writers, I feel like, do get hyper focused on, I need to be New York Times bestseller. That was not my goal. My journey now is, yes, to create more books, but really to create more opportunities such as these to connect women, and to bring my book, is what I call bring my book to life. And that's creating opportunities for women to come together, to communicate, to connect, and to grow in real time, to offer up opportunities to be vulnerable. And so that's kind of been this new evolution, or new relevation, I guess you could say, and new evolution of where I'm going now, is to create these retreats, I guess you could say, wellness retreats, of bringing women together. So that's kind of in the works. So I would say that I'm still kind of in this continuing evolution. Last year, or this last year in 2021, I just published a guided journal to go along with my book. And so I'm also exploring new ways to incorporate the reader into the story, and so that they can create their own storyline as they're reading my words. They can create their own story and match it to whatever it is they're experiencing in the moment. So yeah, I would say, to answer that question, for me, it's a continual evolution. I'm still evolving, and I'm just trusting the process.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm sure all of us will want to know more about that as well, because that's why we're all here, right? Jade, how about you?
I would say the biggest thing, our first motivation when we started our business was really, we wanted to create more jobs for musicians. We wanted to solve a problem. And we also wanted to solve a problem that we were facing directly, which was our debt. And so we knew that if we wanted to pay off the amount of debt that we had, we needed to be in control of the income. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes when you work at a job, the ceiling is only so high, but there was just this mindset, if we work for ourselves, we get to control what that's going to be. And so it kind of started off as being, okay, this is like, we don't have a choice. Like, we need to start this business because we need to pay this debt off. And also it was important for us to be in charge of our own schedules, And I think that over time, the way that's evolved is, I'm a creative person. My husband has that entrepreneurial mind. And so we kind of just have always been willing to try out different opportunities. I think that with business ownership, it's like you're walking down a road, and before you know it, opportunities, they just keep presenting themselves. And I mean, I think that you can either kind of stick to your bubble and go, no, this is what I do, and I only do this, or you can be willing to expound and go, oh, okay, like I'll try that. Somebody calls and they want consulting for this, suddenly you become a consultant, right? And, then people come to you, in my case, because of money and debt payoff, it's like, hey, can you help me with my finances? Yes, I can, and it's just kind of like, I think that being willing to grow and try new things. One of my philosophies in life is, there's going to be a series of doors that you come across, and I want to turn as many of the handles as I can and see what opens up. And I think that going through life that way, you just open yourself up to way more opportunities. And it's been that way in our business as well.
Oh, I can't wait to hear more. That's so good. Thank you guys. Okay, so Robin, talk about your struggles in this business and your businesses. I think you have more than one, and how you've overcome those.
So I would say this, my current business, Necessary Nutrition, I've had for 14 years. So the 20 years before that, I had another business, but in the 20 years, we've had staffing issues, building issues, we've come bankrupt. But one of the stories I want to tell is we had a fish oil, and we had distribution in different states, and all the fish oil went rancid. So it was nasty, and we had just chaos everywhere. And so I was like, how am I supposed to recover? And it was a mess. So there's all kinds of obstacles that come up. How have I been able to overcome them is being around other entrepreneurs. When you're around other entrepreneurs and you hear their stories, your stories are not that bad. You're like, I'm like, but my fish oil went bad. They're like, well, I, jumped off the bridge and, whatever. But like their stories are always not as bad or worse than yours. So that's how I just keep popping back up, is being around other entrepreneurs that are older than me, been there, done that tell me I can do it. And I read a lot. And I just know that as an entrepreneur, you just have to be resilient. Because problems will come, just like in life. If you just, everybody's gonna get a turn. everybody gonna get a turn to have some challenges. So I just stay with my other entrepreneur friends. That's my answer.
Yes, yes. What about you, Vanessa? Struggles for you, and then how have you overcome those?
I love what Robin said about being with like-minded folks. I think for me, one of my biggest hurdles was overcoming self-doubt and maybe that imposter syndrome, because like I said, writing wasn't my background. So it was very easy to convince myself for so long that like I wasn't supposed to be in this space. Like, oh, but you weren't trained to do X, Y, and Z. You didn't envision yourself doing X, Y, and Z. So how are you now, claiming to be this author? How are you now claiming to be this self-love advocate? Are you really qualified for the job? But learning to trust myself, to trust what I've been given, to trust the experiences that I've had in my life that led me to where I am today. And again, the community and the circle around you to tell you, and you'll find from many entrepreneurs that most of them felt like an imposter at one point. Most of them have second guessed their place in the world, or are there too many other people doing what I'm doing already? Well, there's only one you. So there might be a million other people doing what doing what you're trying to do, but there's only one you who can do it how you are going to present it to the world. And so just trusting that's been my biggest hurdle through affirmations, just telling myself that I can do it, that I'm capable, that I'm powerful, that I have a voice, that it's needed, especially when those thoughts of self-doubt try to creep in.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Jade, what about you?
The biggest challenge that I faced in business, it's definitely going to be COVID-19. Like I said, we're in the cruise space, and obviously our space was shut down for the longest, a full calendar year, and then some. And I mean, that's like when you're in a talent-based business and all the live venues are closed and you can't book anyone anywhere, like there's zero income coming in, right? Because even all of our different, even if all of our other streams were entertainment related. So there was literally nothing happening. And, I think in a lot of ways, I'm a Christian person. So when all that happened, I was like, God, let this be something, let this turn into something that on down the road, I go, oh God, thank God that COVID happened. Thank God that our business shut down. And here's why. And so my husband and I were just searching for that the entire time. And, in the end, we realized that what was going to make us bounce back stronger was keeping and maintaining relationships. And once everything did open up again, really diving hard into relationships with people and the relationships we had with major companies. And so falling back on that was great. We were able to build back stronger. And I just loved that time as well, because it was downtime. I got time to spend with my family, and I really got time to realize that I have other passions besides entertainment. And so of course I got more into the money space and money coaching and things like that. And so in the end, I feel like I was and am able to say, oh, thank God that COVID happened, because, that shutdown allowed us the time to pause and find other things that we're passionate about. My husband started flipping Jordans, and that's something he's loved Jordans since he was a kid. So it just gave us the time to reflect and find things, other passions and other things that are worth pursuing. And so I think that God answered that prayer for us during that time.
Wow, that is powerful. Wow. Okay. Robin, what have you personally found to be the two most important skills to be successful in entrepreneurship?
Marketing and money management, hands down. So with marketing, you always have to look at that. Where are your customers coming from? how, and things change. COVID changes how we do business. It's always, you really have to just keep your eye on that. And then money management, because as an entrepreneur, there's times when things are going really well. I could say this, there's going to be times where, things are going well, they're climbing. It's not always going to be like that, no matter what. Like you could think that it's going to stay that way. It is not. So when things are good, that's when you save, because when it's the downturn, the only way you're going to stay in business is that when it's good, you are saving from when it's bad, because trust and believe COVID or something, right? You're like, what? Yeah. So those are the two things that I would say. And then so I'll leave the other answer for the next question, but marketing and money management. That's what I would say.
Those are good ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vanessa, how about you? Two most important skills you think in entrepreneurship?
I would say that being patient is one of the most important, especially if you're just starting or no matter what, right? We already talked about how any type of entrepreneur is going to go through evolution and phases of their path. And so you have to learn to be patient through the process. It's going to take time, and you need that time to build wherever you're trying to go. So be patient with yourself, be patient with the process, and then just knowing your worth. It is absolutely okay to charge your friends, your circle, or whatever for whatever service you're providing. You don't give yourself up for free. Now, there might be a period of time where that's a part of your marketing strategy, which is understood, but just know that you set your value. If you leave it to other people to set your value, they're probably going to come in lower than what you're worth because they're looking out for themselves. You have to look out for you at the end of the day. So know your worth and don't be afraid to ask for what you feel like you're worth. People will pay you for that. People will honor you for that, and people will respect you for that.
That's good. I like that. Jade, how about you?
Yeah, I think I could piggyback on that a little bit. I think that first initial thing is knowing that, and just developing the mindset that you can make your own money with your own time, doing the things that you want to do. Like, you don't have to. I think that it's very easy to think like, okay, I like doing this, but can I really make money doing it? Can I really make enough money to support, my home or my family or my lifestyle doing that? And I think that's a huge mindset. I don't know, for me, for whatever reasons, growing up, I don't know, it was a huge mindset that I needed to break that. Hey, like, I can be resourceful. There's no difference between me and that man over there, or me and that business person over there. Like, I used to look at people and think, oh, I wonder what they do to earn money, and just assume that they had something I didn't, or they knew something that I didn't. And just breaking that mindset and going, they're no different than me. They're no smarter than me. They're no, there's nothing that anyone else has that I don't have or can't get, right? To make that same money or that same business in my life. So I think that just changing and challenging your own mindset is probably number one. And then once you do get into whatever it is that you're doing, I think being a real pit bull when it comes to your time and your boundaries. I mean, I think that, we all, I'm sure, battle this. Like, people pull you in a million directions, and it's like, okay, today, should I work on this? Should I work on that? Should I work on that? And just really setting real boundaries around your time, around what you will allow people to pull from you, so that you can be as productive as you possibly can in the ways that you feel are the most important,
Yes, be a pit bull. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's hard to believe that we're already coming to our very last question. So, Robin, what would you tell somebody who is on the fence about starting their own business, not really sure what to do, how to start, and just unsure about if they should go for it? What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them that whatever you start your business in, my recommendation is that it's a consumable, and I'll explain that. And whenever you have a business, if that product or service is something that they need, it disappears and they need to get it again, that's my recommendation. So like, if you're an accountant, right, we know tax time is coming, they have to use your services again and again and again. You want that, because I've done every which way of having my business look. But when you have to keep going, trying to get new customers, that's daunting. You want it where you're selling toilet paper because people need that every month, or the food, or whatever it is that they need and want and consume. And then the other part I said is about having a residual. I like to be able to predict month after month what revenue is going to come in. That really, really helps. So when someone's first starting a business, I want them to evaluate that and then the life they want to live. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'll start a business and I'll be free. And most of the time when you start a business, you are not free, because your business is running you, because you have to keep putting into it so it can finance your life. So yeah, just we'll be real thoughtful, because most businesses fail. That's the truth. Most businesses don't make it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's real. That's real. Thank you for that, Robin. What about you, Vanessa? What's something that you would tell somebody who is wanting to start their own business, but just really unsure and really timid about it?
I would say trust yourself. I think that's the biggest place to start. You can't do something without self-belief. Self-belief isn't the only thing that you need, but without it, it's going to be nearly impossible for you to build what you're trying to build. So please start by trusting yourself and trusting what's been placed inside of you. And then I would think the other thing about that is, if you're hesitant, that might mean, or if you're just questioning, that might mean you need a little bit more education. So like Jade said, there's nothing that nobody else has on you that you don't have access to. So inform yourself, educate yourself, do the research, do whatever it is that you need to feel like you have a solid foundation to base your business off of. So those are my 2 tips.
That's good. That's good. Jade, what about you? Round it out for us. What do you tell somebody who's not sure?
I would say, kind of like what Robin was saying, you might try some things and they may fail, and that's totally fine. I think that if you asked everyone in here, we've probably had, a couple of notches in the success category and far more notches in the failed category. But, I've always kind of adapted this thought. I don't know who I heard say it, but it's basically the idea that, mistakes are research. Like failures are research. So you can view it as like a failure, or you can view it as an opportunity to learn. And so going in with that mindset, like, let's see, this is an experiment, going into something with a more experimental mentality, as opposed to everything is riding on this, I feel like it just sets you up to be a learner and to be somebody who's holding it loosely. And I just think mindset wise, it's a good place to be. Also, because like we talked about earlier, business can pull you in directions that you never thought it would pull you in. So I just think holding it loosely is probably a good thing. And I think just in the end, settle whatever you decide to settle on, make sure it's something that you're passionate at, passionate about, something that you're already good at, and I feel like if it's something that you have to take on this whole new journey for, it's a bigger risk. But if you kind of find that area that you're already really good about it, people are already asking you, it's already something that you're passionate about, I feel like those are green flags, right? Kind of pointing you to this is where you're supposed to be. And then for me, I just ask God, I'm like, okay, what are we doing? How can we do this? What do we do next? And I think that, he knows our purpose and he wants us to succeed in that. And so if we ask him, I think that he'll lead us in the right direction, whoever you are.
Yes. So good. You know what? We're off script, but I want to ask a bonus question, because we usually ask these questions when we have these calls, but we kind of took this question out. I think it's important to ask, and we have a little bit of time. So why not, right? Why not? So Robin, talk to us about how important community is when you have a business. Why is that important?
Why is it important? Because when things are tough, you need somebody to cry to. You need somebody's shoulder, somebody to pick you up, somebody that's rocking and rolling that you can say, okay. So yeah, community, as I said before, being an entrepreneur, I wouldn't be who I am. I cannot do this by myself. And I'll say this. So Necessary Nutrition is my company, but we own a franchise that also has a network marketing aspect in it. I learned after so many years that was useful to me that I don't have employees anymore. I have partners. And so that is very useful. I was a brick and mortar business, and I shifted and partnered with a network marketing company because it was just it's a really good business model. So the community is wonderful. That's how I met y'all. Through the community.
It is. And we're so grateful for it. Vanessa, what about
Yes.
you? Why is community so important?
I will piggyback off of that and just say, like, look at this Zoom call. You don't get this type of information when you're just standing alone, right? So this right here is a perfect representation of why community is important. I feel like also community works as your safety net. Like Robin said, when you're upset, when you're frustrated, if you have people to fall back to remind you how powerful you are, your strengths, your capabilities, that it's not falling on deaf ears, that what you're doing is purposeful. Like, you need sometimes somebody else to speak life back into you so that you can be energized again. So for me, that's why my community is so important. But I will say that you have to be careful. You have to be intentional about your community, right? So it's not any and everybody, but it's very intentional in who you surround yourself with, making sure that it's a positive and authentic space where you can be yourself.
Yes. Jade, what about you? Community, why is it so important?
Yeah, I agree with what all the other ladies are saying. I think it's also important being around people who are, I love surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me, that are doing bigger things than me, that know more than me, and just being able to learn from them and see what they're doing and get different ideas. And I just think it's important to have people that'll be real with you and go, hey, this is working, this is not working, or like, hey, well, if it's not going well, how, and just ask you real questions and be like give you real responses. I think that's important. Also, like I said, just that support of, I spoke to a friend of mine the other day, and she's doing some of the things I wish I was doing. And it was just cool to hear her say, when I was doing what you were doing, and see that she started one place and grew to a higher spot, just being able to see that is encouraging for me. And also making sure that you are providing that for someone in your community. Like, it's good to be a mentor, but it's also to be a good mentee as well. So making sure you're serving both of those roles in the community, that you're helping pull someone up, and then that you're also like pulling from up here as well, I think is a good thing to be aware of as well.
Yes. So good. And so like compact with all the great information that we needed. Sometimes that we can get a little bit like long-winded naturally with our responses, but we were just like to the point on it. And I love that. Guys, listen, Robin, Jay, Vanessa, you guys were absolutely incredible. We love doing these calls. We love to bring women together and share and fellowship and learn from each other. I've learned a lot from all of you guys. I'm so grateful for that. Wherever you're watching us from, you could have been anywhere else. You stayed with us and we appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with us for this 30, 45 minutes. And I just encourage you, whoever invited you to this call, talk to them, reach out to them, just DM them, text them, get on Instagram, wherever you found them from, however they invited you, and just say, hey, I want to hear more about what you're doing, because you never know what this could bring into you, what kind of like tug it has on your heart to do some things that we haven't thought about in years, and some dreams that we've had that we kind of just let subside because of life. So we wanted you guys we want us to all create more for ourselves, and we have more in us, and we know that we've all gotten gifts from God. So we know that we can share some things with the world, and don't be afraid to do that. So hopefully you feel inspired. Hopefully you feel electric from this call. We're so grateful. And the recording's going to stop right now. We're going to have a fast little quick after party so that we can all say hello and